Theruvan Sarana everyone. This is the second Dhamma discussion for this year and for this month. So in this discussion we are going to talk about two things, actually two questions that came up. The first question is, what is Kamaraga, what is Kamachchanda and Kāmarāga? So we're going to look at that, and secondly, what does a Sothapanna have to do, or what is the next step for a Sothapanna or for a person who's comprehended Dhamma? So those are the two questions that we are going to address in this discussion. So first of all, what is Kāmarāga? Kāmarāga. Let's look at Rāga. Rāga is roaming around. So if one is roaming around using the five senses, which is Rupa, Shabda, Gandha, Rasa, Sparsha, or in other words, Rupa is to do with the eye, roaming around using the eye with the visions. Shabda is to do with the ear, so the sounds. And Gandha is to do with the smell with the nose. Taste, Rasa is the taste with the tongue. And Pottabha is the body and the touch. So if someone is attached to this, or someone is roaming around, wants to have more and more of these, that person has Kamaraga. So that person is attached to the world and becoming obsessed with that and going behind them to get more and more. So what he or she is trying to do is get the pleasure out of these five senses, assuming that the pleasure is in these visions, sounds, taste, smell and touch. But one needs to understand that this is created in the mind. Saṅkappa rago purisa sakamo. So this is what actually that means, is you create this pleasure in your mind and you're trying to achieve that pleasure from outside. For example, if the pleasure was in the picture or in the vision that you see, anyone has to get the same pleasure out of it. But not everyone gets the same pleasure by looking at one picture or one movie. Because if, for example, we take a movie, and if you're getting very happy watching that movie, if you think you become happy or it gives pleasure, then everyone has to get the same pleasure if the movie has the pleasure. But unfortunately that is not the case. Only you like it and only you get the same pleasure. And if you were to watch the same movie 7 days in a row, 7 times per day, then on the 7th day you're not going to get the same pleasure. But if the movie had the pleasure, you should get the same pleasure. So that is the thing that you need to understand. So this is something that is created in your mind, which you are trying to achieve from outside, which you are trying to get from outside. And you think, with the delusional mind, you think, oh, this is in outside. So that is a problem. So once someone becomes Sothapanna, comprehends Dhamma, that person understands that it is not outside. It's created inside, but you still have this feeling of wanting to go behind it. But now you have the option. Earlier you didn't have the option. Earlier, even if you wanted to stop it, you couldn't stop it because you didn't know what the truth was. Now you know the truth, so it's possible for you to stop and possible for you to focus on that and get rid of that delusional thoughts. So what is Kamachchanda? The next step is Kamachchanda. Kamachchanda is one of the 5 Nibbhana. Nibbhana. I'm not sure what they call Nibbhana, if it's the fetters, but there are 5 that stops you in achieving Nibbhana or achieving the enlightenment, and this is one of them. Kāmacchanda is when you are blinded with karma. Chaminda is your mind is blinded by this 5 karma. So you're blinded by rupa, you're blinded by vision, you're blinded by the sounds, you're blinded by the smells, you're blinded by the taste, you're blinded by the touch. So when someone is blinded by it, then it's very, very hard to comprehend Dhamma, or you can't comprehend Dhamma at the time you're blinded. So when someone becomes Sothapanna, at the time, these 5 Kamachchanda, Vyapada, Thīna Middha, Uddhacca, Kukkhucca, Vicikicca, all these 5 drop down, and they are not active anymore. And that is when your wisdom activates, and that's when you can see the reality, that's when you can understand Dhamma. So this is what Kamachchanda means. Kamachchanda is when you're blinded by it. Not only you roam around, but you can't get rid of that. You are like obsessed with it, and then you are going behind it with no idea as to what you're doing. So this is what Kamachchanda is. So a person needs to focus and be mindful of the Kamachchanda in order to get rid of the Kamachchanda. So that is how you get rid of Kamachchanda. Be aware, be mindful, and see what's going on. So if you see a picture, if you get attached to it for some reason, if you think, oh, this is really nice, this is very good, you need to dig deeper into it and see what is nice in there, what is attaching me into that. So whatever we get attached to is a jati. That is something we need to know. Jatis are things, basically. Anything is a jati. So any jati results in a jara and a marana. Or jara is a change in a way that you don't like, and marana is the end of it, as in it diminishes and it dies. So if anything is there, it will change in a way that you don't like, and then it will die. So if it's a living being, it will die. If it's an object, it will diminish and it will evaporate, or it will vanish at the end. So when you attach to something like this, you will result in a suffering, you will result in a worry, sadness, because that is not what you expect from it. You expect it to not change, you expect it to be the way you want it to be, but it doesn't be the way you want it to be, and then at the end it diminishes, it evaporates, or it dies, and then ends up in a suffering. So when one knows this, and one focuses on this, and be mindful about this, the attachment gets less and less. So that is the objective of understanding this and being mindful about this. So if we move on to the second question, which is, what do you do after comprehending Dhamma or becoming a Sothapanna? So now you need to understand, okay, so what happens when you become Sothapanna? What happens is, there are 10 bonds of rebirth, which are called the Dasa Saṅyojana. So out of the 10, 3, you get rid of 3 of the bonds, which are Sakkaya Ditti, Vicikicca, Silabbata, Paramasa. The Sakkaya Ditti is, in simple words, this world is a lovely place to live in, stay in, and be in. So when it comes to the world, there are two worlds, the inner world and the outer world. The inner world are your six senses, and the outer world are what you attracts, what is attracted to these six senses. For example, the vision, the smell, the taste, the sounds, the touch, and the thoughts. So those are the outer world, and you have the inner world, which is the eye, ear, nose, mouth, and the body and the mind. So your belief changes once you comprehend Dhamma. You have a belief thinking that these are very valuable, this is it, but then it changes to, no, this is not it, there is something more to it, and this is a useless process. But it doesn't mean that you will act that way. It doesn't mean that you will do everything in that way. You have this belief that changes. Only the belief changed, not the actions, not the thought process. So when it comes to you, when something comes to your vision, or when you see something, it doesn't come automatically as, oh, this is not useful, this is a pain that's coming to me. You will still see it as this is nice, but then at the back of your mind you will know that this, and if I go behind this, I will end up in a suffering, and this is not a good idea. But you might still go because you haven't comprehended the Dhamma fully, or you haven't become Arihat. So what we are looking at now is how to walk the next few steps. So when one becomes Sothapanna, the Sakkaya Ditthhiya is gone, then the Vicikiccha, you will know that this is the right route, this is the right map, this is the right road to take. So that you know for sure, there is no doubt on that one. And then, so you start walking, but you still have Kāmacchanda and Vyapada, or Kāmarāga and Patigha, in fact. So Kāmarāga is what we talked about before. So the person who's a Sothapanna will still want to enjoy the senses, from the five senses, and that person will still get angry, not to a level but that he or she will end up in a hell, but that person will still have some sort of anger and some sort of attachment. So what happens is, there are two types of attachments that a Sothapanna has, and one is called the Vastu Kāma, and the second one is called the Klesha Kāma. Vastu Kāma is when you want to have a lot of objects around you. For example, you want a house, you want a car, you want this, that, and these are objects that you want to acquire. Klesha Kāma is what you get from having these objects. For example, if it's a lovely house, you want to live in a lovely house. So that is living and having are two different things. So Klesha Kāma, for example, is traveling in a very comfortable car, but Vastu Kāma is owning the car. So the first stage is, after becoming Sothapanna, when you get to the Sakadagami state, you don't want to own anything. You're thinking, oh, these are pains. I don't want to own anything. I just want to enjoy these. But you still want to enjoy traveling in a lovely car. You want to live in a nice house, but you don't have to own the house. You don't need the deeds. You don't want the contracts. You don't want anything like that. You don't want to own. You don't want your name in it, but you want to be in it. So you want to enjoy the pleasure but not own it. So when it comes to that, you become sakadagami. And then you get to the stage where no, this is also a waste of energy. This is also not what I'm looking for. This is not the pleasure this is not the real pleasure. These are also giving sufferings at the end. It's when you come to that understanding, then you are nagami. Then you don't want them as well, and then you're not going behind them as well. So that's the difference. So for that to happen, one has to understand more and more and start looking and be focused. So whatever you do, there are three things that you do. So one is you think, you act, and you talk. So the words is one, talking. So sita, kaya, vachana, the mind, the body, and the words. So these are the things that you need to look into. First, you see what's happening in terms of action. So you look at your actions. You be mindful about your actions. What happens when you get angry? Do you act the same way that you acted before? Do you still throw things around? Do you still shout, scream, and punch people around? Or when do you stop now? When do you realize it? How long does it take for you to realize this now? So now you slowly start changing. You slowly reduce the number of minutes, the time it takes for you to understand that it is wrong. And then you slowly see that, okay, I'm getting angry now. Last time I punched someone, but this time I'm not going to punch anyone. I'm going to hold it. But you're still angry. Now you're still talking in an angry way. You're swearing maybe, but you don't act accordingly, or you stopped acting sooner this time. Now you slowly increase that in a way that you understand, so that you control your actions. Now you come to a state where you can control your actions, but you still can't control your thoughts and your words. Now you need to control your words. Now you be mindful. You understand you're getting angry, and then you stop the words. Now your thought process, you're still angry. Inside you're burning. But at least you're not acting, you're not saying anything. Now you understand, okay, now further you go, you start understanding, oh, a bad thought come to my mind. It's a negative thought, it's a hatred feeling. I need to get rid of that. What is the purpose of having this? So this is how you improve. And then once you get rid of the hatred, the anger, now you focus on the attachments. Now it's more to do with attachments. Now the hatred feelings are gone. You don't get angry. You hardly get angry. Unless you become anagami, you will still get angry, but you're practicing this. Now you're walking the path. And then now it's more to do with attachments. Now you can see attaching to things, attaching to people, attaching, and then creating these sufferings. Now you slowly detach from your mind. So this is how you walk the path, this is how you improve, and this is what you need to do after becoming Sothapanna, after coming to understanding of Dhamma, or becoming Sammaditthi. I hope you guys understood this. I'll do another Dhamma discussion towards the mid-Feb. So, Therwan Sarna everyone.